Loved the fact that I could go through the certification in 2 days. And so that even though it's a long 2 days, for me, it was a much better time investment than other ones that I'd looked at, which was like Saturday classes for 6 weeks or something like that. So
I'm curious to hear your biggest shifts personally first, and then secondly in your business. Like,
the work is very effective and permanent. And that's where so I really like that. So then putting that into silent counseling, the first thing we touched on, which I love, is sometimes not the issue, it's the underlying issue, right? Touched on anxiety. And that was something that I had, that was just a part of me. Like, it was just so normal. I had lived in this with anxiety for ever. Like, it was just something you dealt with. And it was interesting. We had shifted that. And it was like a few days later that I was like, oh my gosh, it's gone. Like, it was just simple, easy, effective. And that anxiety hasn't come back. So it's been amazing. And then just pulling the next layer. So first we did anxiety. Number 2 was frustration.
tell us, Lauren, about the business side of things, like how actually adding silent counseling to your toolbox impacted your business and your clients.
So what I wanted to do initially is I was like, okay, I love silent counseling. I was like, okay, it can be in my toolbox. And I guess if I want to be a one-on-one, practitioner, I love that it gives me like a career option. Like, I could do it any place at anything. Though for me, since I train business owners, and I was like, where do I put this in? Especially because a lot of people come to me, they want money. And I'm like, okay, and we know we want joy, so there's things we need to do to get there. The first one we did was around I am enough, and also that your work is enough. So that tends to be a core limiting belief for people. And the results were amazing, and they've been tied it into my group classes to just make that a part of the curriculum for everyone. And then as well as when I do one-on-ones, or I have a student who's like, bigger issue on it, then we just break up the silent counseling and we can do one-on-one sessions and move that energy.
Money wise, like money, I think, I want to talk to you about money very quickly as well, because this is something that you've recently experienced a really big breakthrough by us working one-on-one together and actually utilizing the power of silent counseling. And funnily enough, we weren't working around money, right? Like, we were focusing on another issue, and then literally within a few days you were like, holy shit, payments coming through one after another after another.
Part of my challenge around money is I sold my first company, which was a petting zoo, 8 years ago. And I did a lot of personal growth because there was a lot of emotions and resentments over the sale of the business 8 years ago. Well, then they've needed to pay me for that sale, and it's been dragging on, little payments and payments. And now it's been years since I had seen anything, and they still had a balance. And you definitely know I was still in resentment a lot over that. And I was like, okay, so it's about the money, though the resentment was driving me nuts. Like, everything, and there's triggers everywhere, and that's just where it's not fun to live like that. And so I was finally at the point, okay, I want to just get rid of this resentment around the business. And so we targeted that. And then it was like I saw this big shift afterwards, and I felt better. I actually kind of forgot about the business. This was in October. And then it was like November 1, just out of nowhere, sparked me to reach out after years and say, hey, can we get that balance taken care of? So that inspired action, it wasn't coming from resentment. And then we did one more clearing about other things and resentments. And then all of a sudden, hours after we did that session, I got this message saying, hey, send me your PayPal. I want to pay you off. Like, oh my gosh. And then other people who owed me money, like all this money that had been owed to me, it was like as soon as I let that, kind of surrendered and let that frustration and resentment around those money things go, then it opened the way to receiving.